Sometimes you have to lose yourself to discover who you might yet be. And sometimes what feels like breaking down is really just breaking free. This poem by Kristen Rogers hangs on my wall because it reminds me that it's gonna be okay, even in the chaos, because life gets intense for all of us. No matter how perfect a person's life looks from the outside, I promise there is a mess somewhere on the inside. I first got to see my mess about 5 years ago. I was at a seminar for health and stress. I'm a chiropractor, so I went to better learn how to help my patients. But who I learned needed the most help was me. I'm going to show you a little snapshot about what I learned that day, and I want you to track your progression in where you are in this. The first thing that intense stress does when it hits our brain is it goes to the part that signals us to fight or to run. If it has a posture, it looks like this. This is strangely similar to how we look when we're driving in rush hour traffic, or typing a really stressful email, or scrolling through a political debate. The problem comes when we don't run, when we stay right here. It does some things you might not know. The first is it affects your heart health more than any diet. It raises your blood pressure faster than anything. The second is you can't get a deep breath. Just try it. It decreases your lung capacity by 1/3. 7 out of 10 of our most deadly diseases in the United States are related to oxygen deficiency. Even the first step in CPR is open the airway, but I can't even open my lungs. The third thing you might not know is in this position, it weakens the muscles in your back and it really messes up your joints. Now that's a bad deal because your spine feeds your brain like a battery. And if it's not getting healthy movement, your brain starts to feel like a battery that's losing its charge. If you don't straighten up, then pretty soon you start to get aches in lots of weird places in your body. You can get injured more often, tired all the time, and sick way more frequently. Left even longer, your thyroid doesn't have what it needs, and so you start to gain weight that you might not be able to get off. Your hair can start to fall out or feel really mousy, and you have problems regulating your temperature. Now this is when the real mess starts. I see patients here where they start to get headaches that are debilitating, where they might get numbness in their face that they can't figure out. For me, it hit my gut. At this time in my life, if we went on vacation, half of my suitcase had to be special food, because I never knew if what they were going to put on the table would be anything that I could eat. I was absorbing so little that in my early 30s, I was down to my middle school weight. Now that might sound cool to you, but it did not feel good. I was working hours a day in what I called the black hole of pain. I was in healthcare, I still am, so I was trying everything I could think of to fix this, but nothing was working. So I would just try to reach through that shroud of pain to find the person in front of me and do my job and help them. I promise there are people sitting in this audience doing the same thing. Then they tell me that the very next step is autoimmune disease, which only happens in a stress response. 10 years ago, 1 out of 31 people had autoimmune disease. Now it's 1 in 5. 75% of those are women. It's one of the top 10 killers in women under 65 years old. And it only happens in a stress response. Just one more step, and if it's not interrupted, this stress response starts killing neurons in the part of our brain that can lead to dementia. So at this part, I realized this stress that I wear around like a badge for productivity was literally killing me, but like the slow and agonizing way. So the longer I sat there, the angrier I got about all I have to do in a day and all the roles I play, and how am I supposed to balance all of that without getting sick? As I left the class, my anger turned to hopelessness. Instead of doing anything fun that night, I went straight to my hotel, straight to my bed, and literally hid under the covers. I spent hours that night crying or staring dejectedly at the wall. It was one of my worst, best moments. Because as bad as that felt, it was a starting point. I looked around at all my symptoms and I thought, if this is really all from stress, then it's not going to help me to stress out finding the answers anymore. I got to change how I play this game. So I dove in and I immersed myself in the literature and the science and the stories, and I found a great therapist and I found some powerful mentors. And what's emerging is what I'm going to share with you in 18 minutes or less as the 3 most powerful things I found change the way we play with stress. So I want you to imagine a line. Above this line is who you are when you feel rested and relaxed. Below this line is how you feel when you're stressed. So all day long, we start up, we feel pretty good, we hit a stressor, we go down. We build ourselves back up, we hit another stressor, we go down. And all day long, we're going up and down, and that's okay. It's okay to be stressed. In fact, to be healthy, you need to be adaptable around this line. The problem that happens is when we're down, and before we can get up, we hit another one. And before we can get up from there, we hit another one, and another one, and another one, until we are down so far that the distance between where we are and where we feel like ourselves again, we don't know how we're ever going to bridge that gap. So what do? The first step is you do with your body what you do with anything else that's stuck. You try to move it. You got to move your body. You got to dance or run or walk or stress clean, but you have to use both hands. That's the key. Move both sides of your body. Now, what if you're in a business meeting and you can't really stand up and shake it off like I do? My receptionist can see me do it before I go into a hard visit. What you can do it with me, is just tap. Tap on your knees, under the table, no one will know. Just enough so that you can feel it. Or even, sometimes when I'm running meetings and it gets stressful for me, I just move my toes in my shoes, back and forth. Now why? Stress sits in this primal, most basic part of our brain. In this area, you are not rational. I promise the people around you know it. When you start to move, it takes you side to side into the higher part of your brain. This is the part where we have bigger perceptions. This is the part where we can learn, where we can get bigger ideas. You are not broken. You just need to move when you're stressed. The second thing you do is what humans have been doing since there were humans. You get a little tribe around you, and together you start to lift. Harvard's been doing a study for 75 years, and it's not over yet. It's proving unequivocally that the most important factor in our health is the quality of our relationships. Can you believe that? It's way more important than exercise, and exercise always trumps nutrition. A mentor of mine, Dr. Michael Hall, says, "How many blueberries do you have to eat before you don't hate your job?" And worse is if you're eating those wild organic blueberries alone in your kitchen, dwelling on it. But if you go for a walk with some friends, not only are you getting that movement, but your friends can help you change your thoughts, and that is the whole deal. If you have a place where you feel safe, where you feel heard, where you can celebrate the successes, where you can find the positives, or you can find a way out of your mess, or even just laugh, it's like pulling the ejection lever out of that stressful part of your brain. And I would rather eject out of it than just learn how to swim in it. Humans co-regulate. That's why scientists think our species even survived. Fire didn't just help us cook our meat and scare predators. Fire brought us together in groups where we could touch and talk and teach each other and let each other know that even if today was total crap, we could start again tomorrow. In modern day, Jim Rohn said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's the beginning of your tribe. But you can make that tribe on purpose or just on accident with whoever you happen to be wasting time with. You can make that tribe be people that help you come alive and you feel accepted. Or you can spend time with people who drain you and you feel rejected. So think of those 5 people. Who's really going to show up for you in your real life? And who do you make an effort to show up for? Because sometimes, I'm talking about your time and attention. Sometimes we spend so much time and attention on our surface relationships that we just don't have much left for the people we really want in our tribe. If you want to do one thing for your mental health, start building some real connection with even 3 people. A quality connection with 3 to 5 people can decrease your risk of dementia by a half. But it has to be real, and it has to be safe. There was a time in my life when I didn't know how to show up as myself. I didn't trust that it would be safe. You have to show it, and they have to hold it. The space for the real you. You are not broken. You just need to nourish some real connection. The third thing we can do to really get us back up above that line is rest. I know, right? Rest. I'm a doctor and it's my favorite prescription that I ever give. Well, Joanna, I think you need to have a bubble bath tonight. Like, oh, it feels so good. But what this rest is a rest from input. Anything with a screen in front of your face is not rest. If you're exhausted and you come home and you binge watch Netflix, you're making the problem worse, not better. Because it's rest for your nerves. And your nerves have to process all that stuff. Everything that you feel in that drama, everything that you hear in the surround sound, and everything that you see flashing on the screen and changing colors. The next time your kid is watching the computer next to you, watch from the side and see how many things flash at their face. We take in so much information in a day now that our nerves are getting hammered. And they're getting tired. Now, those are the nerves that take information in. But we have a really cool nerve called our vagus nerve, and it does even more than that. So remember the stress reactions from at first? This takes those and it flips them on their head. So we can have better focus and concentrate longer. So we can relax our throats and speak with confidence. It balances our heart rate. It helps us oxygenate. It helps us digest and absorb. It helps us have better sex. It helps us have better sleep. It helps us relax so we can show up as ourselves. You cannot get a pill that does all that. You can only get it inside. But in order to get it, instead of checking out, you have to check in. And when you check in, you can tell the kind of rest that will be best for you, which might change. Sometimes when I'm exhausted, I just find a place where I can be alone for even 3 minutes. I'm a mom, so you know it's probably in the bathroom. That's where we all go. So I close my eyes, I start to stretch my neck, and I just listen to the sound of my own breathing. Or once a week we have built into our family schedule. It's on the day of the week that is busiest for my husband and I. When we come home, it is a no-tech night. All tech goes off, even for us, and we play, or we snuggle, and we read, and we talk. It's become my favorite night of the week. I'm so grateful for it. The trick is you have to honor your need for it. Danny with Asperger's Experts taught me this. We live in a country that's founded by Puritans. Their motto was, if hard work doesn't fix it, then work harder until it does. That was in my bones. But I think it's outdated. Because the truth is, when work is balanced with rest, we're more productive. When work is balanced with rest, we can show up better in our relationships. You are not broken. You just need to honor your need for rest. In closing, I'll say my hiding under the covers that day turned out to be a starting point on a great journey. Now, I don't walk this road perfectly. Sometimes I still get overwhelmed. But now I know that I am not broken. And when any of us start to feel like we're dropping down, let me remind you what we can do. First, everyone sit up in your chairs. I want you to wiggle your shoulders and be strong in your back. Let's find our breath. We do it first. Breathe with me in and out. Again, in. This time, long exhale. Bring that breath way down to your feet. One more with me, in and out. Now keep breathing while I remind you when we're down here. First, you move, and you don't stop moving until you're in your higher brain. Second, you find and build a tribe, and you nourish them, and you reach for them. Last, give yourself permission to rest. I now have a weekly appointment with myself for just that, and I honor it. When people call me and they want me to do something, I say, I'm sorry, I have an appointment. They don't know who it's with. It's with me. And I'm keeping it. And I try, let's all try, to remember the successes that we have, even if they're little and even in the stress. And to remind ourselves a lot of this stuff is just what comes from creating a beautiful life that we're grateful for. So I hope you'll join me as every day we keep coming out from under the covers. And instead of breaking down, we just keep on breaking free. Thank you.